Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an ex named Trip the Monkey titled Rex. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on YouTube, the video from Trip the Monkey Rex, the official video. We're going to listen through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's begin, let's do it. I like that we're straight into it. I think I also recognized the puppets, so it's kind of cool.
Met a girl, she was looking at me. She said, "I want you to come and play with me." I said, "5, see you at 10. Don't be late," and we became friends. Then she winked, smiled real big, grabbed a drink, took a swig. I wasn't ready for what came next. She had a deep voice and her name was Rex. Well, I was stunned, but I went along. I really didn't think she had a dong. Well, I was stunned, but I went along. I really didn't think she had no dong. Say.
It's just a really simple song, easy to get behind.
Then at 10, she appeared in a trench coat and she smelled like beer. I said, "Baby, where you from? And do you want to go and have some fun?" She said, "Yeah, let's go to the room." She swept me up like I was a broom. I realized she was 6'2". She had a tattoo and her eyes were blue. She threw me down, knocked the door. I felt like a dirty whore. I may be a little schmuck, but $20 is $20. She said.
I mean, you've got definitive proof that they are playing together. They're playing their own instruments as well. And it's a hell of a drum kit behind them, actually.
And we kissed.
I mean, that's just fantastic. That's a really solid song. It genuinely is, because if we switch over to the conclusion here, we've got ourselves a track from an act named, Trip the Monkey, titled Rex. Now, what do we think this track is about? Because this is the conclusion section where I usually talk about a few things that I like about a song and maybe give some sort of like feedback on what could potentially be improved if there is stuff. But I think it's, as you've found out by listening and looking at it, I think it's about someone who met a person they thought was a woman at a bar, and then I think the she turned into a he, and they ended up having fun in the end. It was just a bit of a kind of a roller coaster, but that's cool. I think it's an interesting story. It's got a bit of a sense of humor to it, but it's also just kind of unique. You don't really get stories like this in music, and I kind of appreciate that we're trying to do something a bit different, and it's cool. In terms of sort of like three things I appreciate about the track, the first thing I appreciate is the quality of the actual performance in terms of the actual tightness of the drums, the guitar, and the bass. We're not over-articulating. We're not trying to do a whole lot of wacky kind of crazy stuff with the instruments. We're very sort of like considerate and consistent with the different hi-hat grooves and the crash bands with the kicks and snares and stuff. We've got power chords on the rhythm guitar parts. We do sort of step away from those and have the bass be more resonant occasionally, but we have our motif and we stick with it, and that it allows us to get more of a feel for what is going on with the vocals and to follow that story. I think it's also the fact that we allowed space within a track with the storytelling to be able to sort of like appreciate the instrumentation behind it. But it's also that when we were telling the story, we had a bit of personality behind it. We expressed ourselves really like effectively for what we were trying to sort of like. We weren't taking it too seriously or trying to ham it up too much. It's the kind of it does sound like we're in sort of storyteller mode, and that's kind of what you need for this. You're not trying to be too sort of like you're not trying to oversell it. You want the texture and timbre of the delivery to kind of match some of the sort of like punk rock kind of stuff going on with those guitar, bass, and drums. I think we had a good balance there. We didn't overcomplicate the vocals, and they matched sort of like the moderation of some of the parts and like the chord progressions and bass lines. But I think finally, it's the fact that when we told the story, the structure of the track allowed it to go in and out. We had enough time to sort of be able to have everything put into context, but we didn't overstay our welcome with the theme, even though we had to have a lot of sort of like repetition and of the like the main concept. I mean, like we had a bit of variation later on structurally in that part where, you know, there's some stuff going on underneath the sheets there and you have that build up, the crescendo of the tom stuff. It's not like we do the same drum beat, for example, the entire time. I think that I'm not sure whether the video was made in conjunction with like the writing of the song or something like that, but you can kind of hear how they met and see how they match up, which I think is kind of clever. There's a lot of thought and creativity put into that. And so you're left in a position where there's this sort of complete audiovisual experience. The story is told, but it's also when words aren't spoken that the music almost infers stuff, and that's really effective as well, again, without overstaying its welcome. I'm not really sure what could have been really improved. I mean, you could have arguably it depends on the instruments you have. If you have more than one guitar, you could have potentially done more, some lead lines or sort of alternates in the space. But then a lot of that variation came from the taking away and re-addition of the rhythm guitars, you know, switching things up to the tom fills and some focuses there. So I don't actually think we needed to do anything differently compositionally, vocally, or performatively. And in general, the studio production was quite good. So yeah, no real complaints about it. It's a solid track. This is from Trip the Monkey, titled Rex, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show him some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.